Knock knock. This video was sponsored by Raycon, of course. Hocus pocus. The Raycon Everyday E25 wireless earbuds.
Hey, let me out of here!
Ignore that. These wireless earbuds aren't just stylish, low-profile, comfortable, and easy to hook up to Bluetooth. They've also got terrific battery life.
What are you doing out there?
I didn't hear anything. They can last up to 6 hours, and they come in a convenient little carrying case that charges them, giving you up to 24 hours without needing to find an outlet.
Hey!
I take mine with me wherever I go, like to the computer store to purchase sports games and lengthy, complicated JRPGs, which is what I enjoy because I am Arlo.
Seriously, what are you doing out there?
I was just telling my audience that the Raycon Everyday E25s are about half the price of other premium wireless earbuds.
Oh, did you tell them they can get 15% off at buyraycon.com/Arlo? Or they can just follow the link down in the description?
I did not. Thanks for reminding me.
My pleasure. Now let me out of here!
Must be the wind.
What are you?
Drop, then sideways. Hello, my friends. I am sick. I'm sorry. I sound weird, and I feel weird, and it's not fun. It's just a cold. Don't worry. It's just a cold. It is rather disheartening that I got a cold, despite, well, obvious precautions I've been taking, because if it wasn't a cold, then it would just be whatever that other thing that isn't a cold is. That's great. Yay! The point is, though, I'm here to say that the Nintendo 3DS is officially, entirely, 100% actually no more. Personally, it was when Nintendo announced that they were not developing any more first-party games for it. That was when I felt that it was officially gone. You know, like, when development stops for it, it basically stops being a platform anymore. But now, you can't argue it at all. There's no semantics to argue. There's no like, oh, well, what is supporting a system? When is a system truly dead? No, we know for sure now it is officially gone. Nintendo has announced that they are no longer manufacturing units. So yeah, it's gone. I already did a big goodbye. This is not like a big, huge goodbye. If you haven't seen the video, it's just like the goodbye to the 3DS and talks about my experiences with it and why I love it so much, and you know, just all the good times of talking about it all coming to an end. You can go watch that if you, I don't know, I'll put the link somewhere if you haven't seen that yet. And I know like it's not a massive news item, and I know I've got like roundups for stuff like this generally, but I don't know, when I saw this story, it kind of felt like, I don't know, it felt like kind of a big enough thing to kind of do a thing of its own, you know what I mean? It's just not every day that a system, a beloved Nintendo system, fully and officially ends. So, I don't know, I thought I'd take a moment to just kind of talk about it, and also, I'm just feeling really sick and horrible, and I could barely get any work done. So I thought this would be a good way to like kind of actually like feel a little productive, you know, drag myself upright, not even out of bed, but just upright long enough to record a video, make me feel a little bit better about my day. So my very first reaction when I heard the news was, oh man, should I go buy another 3DS? You know what I mean? Like, that was that was my first thought, because like I've got an OG 3DS. I got the black one, like the launch model. It's small, it's pretty basic, it's not the new one, and I've been using that for, you know, 8 years or something now. And so like eventually that's gonna break. I don't play it that much anymore, but even like the circle pad thing is coming off, and I gotta re-glue it every once in a while, and it's just like, I don't know, like systems don't last forever. And so I'm like, yeah, but I really, really like the 3DS library. Some of these games I will be wanting to revisit, especially if they don't ever get, you know, ports or whatever. Like even just like Samus Returns, like that came out so late that I return to that every once in a while. So it's like eventually my 3DS is gonna die and I'm gonna need a new one. So I'm like, is it gonna be harder to find one later? Because I mean, like, I know there will be plenty of secondhand ones. But with a handheld, like a secondhand home console, I'm more okay with. But the handheld, you know, it's like the the clickiness of the buttons and how okay the stick is and the hinge. And I'd hate to be caught in a situation where I want to, you know, revisit these games and I don't have a good 3DS. So I'm still considering it. Just going to buy a nice brand new one. Because if this one lasted this long with a lot of play, you know, now I don't play it nearly as much anymore. So it would probably, a new one would probably last me forever. So I don't know. Still kind of thinking about that. And here's the thing. I must reiterate again. I might sound like a broken record to some people who watch all my videos, but I must say again, I love the 3DS. I do. I multiple times brought up the fact that I thought Nintendo should stop development of the 3DS, should discontinue it in order to put all of their resources into Switch. Love 3DS. I just thought it was done. I thought the world was done with it, so I thought it'd be a better move. But every time I said that, people are like, why? Why do you hate the 3DS? Why do you think Nintendo should press a button that erases all of them from existence forever? So, yeah. And I still get comments and random people tweeting at me or whatever, just being like, yeah, but you hate the 3DS, right? No, I love the 3DS. I adore the 3DS. So let's just get that clear. And so, another one of the reasons I want to do this video is like, we all know the 3DS did really well, sold a lot of units, made Nintendo a lot of money, and it really helped them during the Wii U era because the Wii U itself lost them a lot of money. But I think something about seeing the Switch, like just seeing just how successful it's been recently, how just like massively runaway successful, it's really like, it's almost got me looking at the 3DS and its success in, kind of a different light or something, or maybe I'm appreciating it even more, because it's like, the Wii U time was just, it was such a bad time. They lost so much money on the Wii U, and so like, it was always like, oh, good thing they've got the 3DS, but I don't know, I'm starting to realize just how important that was, and how that was Nintendo tapping into their portable legacy, because their portables always do well. Even when their home console is tanking, their portable is gonna do well. And so now with the Switch, we have the hybrid thing. So it's like, I just appreciate more and more how much it kept things, you know, it kept the boat afloat during the Wii U times. And just, it helped set Nintendo up for the, I mean, every handheld has been iteratively, you know, setting up for the next one. But just its success was setting up for the Switch. I don't want to say the 3DS walked so the Switch could run. I want to say the 3DS ran so the Switch could run super duper, just really fast. Also very fast. And I mean, like, it won't be long before the Switch outsells the 3DS. It is on track to outsell even the Wii. So yeah, it just makes me look back on that 3DS and just be like, wow, I bet Nintendo was they really appreciate that they had that. And if anything, conceptually, it was just more proof. Again, more proof over and over again that people love Nintendo handhelds, and Nintendo handhelds do really well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they took that philosophy. They're like, hey, look, our Wii U is doing terribly and our 3DS is still thriving. That might have been like, okay, we just need a home console that is also a handheld. That's the answer. That was the magical answer to all of their problems. One interesting thing to bring up pretty much when any console, or at least more modern console, like with a digital storefront, whenever something like that ends, you have to wonder how long they're gonna keep the eShop open. And this is something I mean, I really hope they keep it open longer, because it's like, you had the Wii, and the Wii eShop finally closed down. That was like the first generation with like a significant digital, you know, marketplace. And that closed down, so that, you know, that stinks for people who invested in that and still want to download their games or whatever. But I feel like each successive generation, there was only more digital adoption. You know, like, I think the 3DS eShop was probably loads and loads bigger than the WiiWare shop. When all was said and done, number of titles, amount of just purchases. And so because of that, and of course, like, you know, now we've got consoles out that when these end, it's going to be a really big deal, but that's a whole discussion for another day. But the 3DS just has such a robust marketplace that it will be sad. I've got a lot of download games that I'm just going to have to just keep downloaded, I guess. And the great thing is, like, even as physical games start to, you know, go up in value, start to become a little bit more scarce, as long as they keep that eShop open, people can still go and buy their, major first-party retail titles. And so that's pretty cool. And they'll spend more money on them because they're digital and they didn't lower the prices. So yeah, I don't know. Basically, I don't know realistically how long we can expect them to keep the eShop open. I feel like probably only a few more years at the most. But, I can keep my fingers crossed because, I get that they can't do it forever, and that's what's sad about this. And again, that's why it's a whole big discussion of, we haven't actually experienced that yet, where we have, the really, really massive storefronts that are going down. The Wii was, our first taste of that. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. The Switch eShop will go away someday, too. So, yeah. And here's a very important thing. I think a lot of people, tons and tons of people, got back into Nintendo and sometimes even got back into video gaming as a whole thanks to the Switch. I know people like that. I know there are people like that. It's a very large number. So if any of you are listening, that applies to you. You got back into gaming or Nintendo or whatever because of the Switch. And if you missed out on the 3DS, now is as good a time as ever, especially now that it's being discontinued. The prices are probably just going to go up as it becomes more scarce. There'll be lots in the secondhand market and all that stuff. But you might as well now. There are just so many games, just a tremendous library of games. And if you missed out on the DS too, the thing can play DS games. The library is immense, and especially now when the shop is still open, the eShop is still open, you can still get, physical copies of DS games and stuff. I would say that even series that have games on the Switch, those titles don't even necessarily replace the 3DS ones. Luigi's Mansion 3 is great, but Dark Moon is its own thing. I am going to want to play Dark Moon forever, basically, Link Between Worlds. We only have one 2D Zelda on the Switch so far, and it's a remake of Link's Awakening. Link Between Worlds is more or less an original title, and it still holds up really well. So, yeah, Mario 3D Land, there's another one. Because of Nintendo's weirdness with their systems, I don't know when we're going to get these games again. It made sense to emulate DS games on the Wii U because of the touchpad, but we don't really have that anymore. I don't really see Nintendo being able to bring us these titles again in the future. So if anything, now is the time to invest in a 3DS and into these games, and so you have them, so you can have them, because I don't know if they're going to come back around again. I don't know if we're ever going to get a Nintendo device that is good at emulating the dual screen games. So if you've been considering it, I say take the plunge. You can get bundles for pretty darn cheap. You can get a giant stack of games. There is a lot of Nintendo Selects games you get cheap. You can get a gigantic stack of games for no money. And if you're running out of stuff to do this year because the release schedule's been a little bit sparse, then there you go. I cannot suggest it enough. The 3DS was absolutely wonderful. It is a little bit sad to see it go just because that was an era of my gaming life. So now I just got to decide if I'm going to buy another one. I might get an XL. I have the original and it's really small, and I was skeptical of the XL, but now it's not portable anymore. I just play it at home, whenever I want to revisit an old game. So yeah, I don't know, I might get an XL. I'll no doubt be covering 3DS games, and just in the future. I've talked about 3DS games, and there are a lot of 3DS games I haven't touched on as much as I would like to. So yeah, maybe I get an XL. We'll see. Well, anyway, thank you for watching. Head on down to those comments and let me know what you think. Did it go too soon? Was this a great time for it? Do you wish they had just kept supporting it for just years and years and years? Are you thinking about going and buying 3DS? I would love to see that. If you're the kind of person that I mentioned and you're like, yeah, I might actually get a 3DS, tell us what kind of games you're interested in. Get recommendations from other people. Go down in the comments, just talk about the 3DS. Talk about the three dual screens. Because that's what the DS stands for, dual screen, 3 dual screens, but it's only got 2 screens. I never understood that. It should have 3 screens. Makes literally no sense. Anyway, I am tired and I'm gonna lie down and I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna turn off the light and send all this to somebody else to edit for me. You have a great day. Bye-bye.